wait. No.
Listen.
Listen.
Wait.
I hate you for that.
Let me fix it.
Hello and welcome back to Let Me Fix It, the podcast that says, Dear Tennis, what's love got to do with it? But seriously, why are we using the word love for zero? I just don't get it. I'm DeLon Grant. I'm an actor, a singer, photographer, and a writer.
And I'm Francesca Ramsey. I'm an actress, producer, writer, and graphic designer. And today we are joined by a very special guest. She's a comedian, a writer, a science fiction lover, a yoga teacher, a self-proclaimed mess, and mega viral content creator with over 127 million likes just on TikTok. Is she on all the apps, kids, okay? Please welcome Amber Wallin to the pod.
Thank you so much. Not this bio. It's like she's on her phone a lot. That's what she does.
So Amber, like Fern was saying, like you've built a massive following on TikTok. Almost 2 million followers. Go on ahead. But you've also done quite well for yourself on Instagram and Patreon. And Fran is always telling me how you're always trying to school her on social media. So when did you first, know that like social media was the shit? Like when was that legit for you?
So I was one of those people that was working at a comedy club at the top of the pandemic. And then, 24 hours into the pandemic, I was laid off from the clubs. Oof. And I was like, I guess I'll just make some videos at home. Like, what else is there to do? We're all just like waking up thinking the sky is falling, right? and I think I think what really tapped it in for me was, it had to have been March 2020, I want to say, because my birthday is March 16th. And I remember I had to cancel my birthday plans. Yeah. So I canceled my birthday plans and I basically said, I created a scenario where I was basically celebrating my birthday in my home. So I went to my laundry room and closed the door, and that was the Uber. And then I like put on a dress and I was like, shots, ladies. And then I dressed as each of the different ladies. And then the internet was like, we'll just all take a birthday shot with you. And so I was like, on my story saying like, if anybody can hear this, please take a birthday shot with me. Like I probably had maybe 1,500 followers at the time. And so many people tagged me and like, we're taking shots with Amber. And that was when I was like, now wait a minute. We're kind of a little bit of a community here, like
building a community. Totally,
people are collectively just celebrating my birth. Like I was like, this is one of the best birthdays I've ever had, and I was just alone in my apartment. Ben was there too, and he like played "Happy Birthday" on the violin while we were like on Instagram Live, and people were like, "I just took my tequila shot with you." So that was really when it unlocked for me that I was like, "There's money in here. There's money to be made here."
Tell everyone who Ben is.
Oh yeah, I hate that. I hate that I talk about, because that is classic influencer.
That's your man.
No, it's classic influencer to talk about things like, you watch all my things, don't you? Like you know who that is.
No. I think that anyone does, because I do the same thing where I mention DeLon all the time to people as if they know who he is. I mention Shamika, one of my other really good girlfriends. I mention Shawnee, my therapist. Nobody knows who the fuck she is, but I say it all the time.
She's crying. Shawnee told me that.
It's like, you ever met somebody for the first time and like, I am, girl, and they're like, I don't know you. We just met tonight at this bar. I've told you I don't know who you are. But yes, Ben is my husband. We have been married 5 years in May, and we've been together altogether about 9-10ish years. So yeah, he does everything with me. He's my intern. Thank you. We will be at the house taking shots because we just spent all our money in Rome. We were there for 10 days. So we are firmly at the house right now.
Oh my God. Well, you kind of touched on it a little bit, Amber, the fact that you started as a stand-up. And I think a lot of people don't know that about you. And I think it's so important to highlight, because you're not just a random person that realized you're funny. You're like an actual professional funny person, which I really appreciate. And the thing is that no one can predict what will go viral, but you are so strategic. Can you talk about some of the things that might surprise people about your process when it comes to making content?
Yes, I can, Francesca. I feel there. It got to a point where, and I'm sure this was happening for everybody, where so many things were going wrong during the pandemic that I was like, let me just film anytime something goes wrong in my household, in my life, from our layoffs to moving back in with my parents. Let me just film all of that, and then what I do well is I can set the joke up. So I'm like, okay, I know Ben just backed into the garage. How can I earlier that day set the stage of like, can't you just go run and get the groceries? That's all I'm asking you to do, because I already know he already backed into the garage, you know? So it became
like reverse engineer content.
Smart.
Yes. So, or even when, I mean, this sounds horrible, but like, even when my child is crying, I totally am soothing her, but I always like take my phone out and just start recording the audio of the tears. Cause I was like, I'm going to need these tears at some point to be looped under a video. You know what I'm saying? Because then a pamper company will be like, hey, can you show the baby crying before the pamper? And then once they put the pamper on, they're happy. And I'm like, this is not an actor. Like, I don't know how, like, how would I do that? You have
like stock footage of Wild.
She's like going through the Rolodex of all the videos.
Friend, I will literally send both of you and Delon. I will send y'all a video where Wild isn't actually crying, but I'm holding her and you hear a track that I recorded months earlier.
Wow.
And you just sync it underneath. Yeah. People do that with their stand-up too. I've never done it, but I've had a friend of mine be like
add the laughs in.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, or I've had a friend send me a video of hers and she's like, yo, the audience was laughing, but you can't hear it as well on my mic. Can you just like rev me up a little bit?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was like, absolutely. I was like, they are laughing, you know.
Well,
like,
if you've ever gone to a live taping, they always have you at the end add the laughs. They have you like go really high, go really low. You know, they have you do that and they add them in. So it's very smart to do that for your content.
Yeah, they do it. I mean, and especially the stuff with Ben and I, we typically get it on the first take because it's us, and I'm like, oh, I know how loud I can yell, and I know you're going to say something unhinged to this. But in the early days, it was so funny to see people be like, look at his bitch wife. And I was like, I actually wrote in the script that I was supposed to be the bitch in this scene. And
that just says how good you are.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a fraud, I guess.
Well, I got to say, I've been so inspired by you, and it's been so fun getting to work with you and foster our new friendship. Mm-hmm. And most recently, we went to the movies together to see Challengers.
Yes, we did.
I really love the video that you two did about the two different types of moviegoers. I am definitely of the Fran moviegoer. I am on time, which means I am early. And if you're late, I'm pissed. I showed up to Challenges for this episode, girl. I was 30 minutes early. The movie theater wasn't even open.
I was ready. Well, and you know what? Amber made me look way more reasonable in the video because she said that I was there at 7. I was definitely there at 6:45.
I know you were. Yes. I know you were. So tell the class about the video and the intricacies of it, because it's hilarious.
Yeah, well, even I think people love, I've learned this with making content with my husband, because we're so different. Past the like black-white stuff, we're just like fundamentally different. So I've learned that people love taking a side. People love being, because that's what people love. They're like, oh, I'm a Pisces. Are you one? Like, people love finding community in that way.
Totally.
I mean, like, I watched a show. I went to a live show last night and the host was bombing. And then she was like, who here's from Brooklyn? And people were like, yeah. I was like, wow, she won them back. Just that. Is Philly in the house? And people, I was like, you turned it, bitch, because you were drowning. But people like that. So immediately when I was texting Fran about the movie, I was like, what time are you going to get there, by the way? Because I know Fran. I was like, I just know you're always on time to things. And I like to saunter into things late. So she was like, the movie was like 7:10. She's like, oh, I'm probably gonna get there at 6:45. And in my brain, I was like, this is crazy. And then I was like, you know what? I can't be the only one. Like, this is two types of friends. Like, this has to be. Which is so funny, Delon, because I thought I was gonna be in the major.
No,
I was like, nobody gets to the movies early. Fran, it was a landslide. It was a landslide.
I legit was the first person in there, and then all of the Gen Zers. It wasn't even the movie hadn't even started. It was like maybe previews were starting. I was already looking behind me like, y'all could talk to the whole movie. You could talk the whole movie. I was so pissed. I wanted to watch it.
I feel in the minority as a chronically early person in LA, but I felt so seen in those comments. So thank you, Amber, for giving me the opportunity to win over your audience in that way. So class, if you are unfamiliar, Challengers is a new film starring Zendaya. She's also an exec producer on the film, and it is currently number 3 at the US box office. Zendaya stars as Tashi Donaldson, a former tennis prodigy who now serves as her husband's tennis coach. But in order to help him overcome his losing streak, she will need him to face his ex-best friend, who's also Tashi's ex-boyfriend. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. And fine.
Okay, we will. Well, we are gonna get into that. The film has only been in theaters for a few weeks, but it's already made a whopping $32 million, which is very impressive for a debut feature. And while I enjoyed the film, after a few days of processing, I do have some notes. So we thought it would be fun to have Amber on the pod to talk about the movie, and then as usual, we will each pitch how we would fix it. So let's dive in. This is Challengers. Let me fix it.
Now, before we dive in, class, this is your spoiler alert warning. We are going to ruin this film for you. We are going to burn it up. So, if you are going to see this film and you don't want it to be spoiled, please hit pause right now. We will not be upset with you. Just tap out, come back later. We'll be here shining, ready to talk about it. But if you don't care and you still want to listen to the episode, please sit down, buckle in, because we are about to give it to you. Do not fret. We're still going to have fun. Okay, Amber, what, if anything, did you know about this movie before Fran took you to see it?
Oh, I knew absolutely nothing. You know what's funny? I remember seeing the movie cutout at the movie theater as they were advertising it, and I was like, this white lady looks just like Zendaya. I was like, I can't put my finger on it.
Why is she so light on the poster?
You know they'd be doing that. I
was like, who is this? And then I was like, oh my God, that's Zendaya. Because, you know, we're used to a darker hair Zendaya. I mean, and I got excited because this is just her year. Like, I think I saw the Challengers cutout. I saw the Challengers cutout as I was walking out of Dune 2. And I was like, when do you sleep, girl?
She doesn't.
Who is your team?
Talk about that, girl. The team is teaming, yo.
Booked and busy. And we're definitely going to get into that because she has really made some interesting choices. And I think that this movie is an interesting evolution in her, like, grown and sexy era. She's not playing a high schooler no more, you know?
Yes. Yeah, and few people can make that transition from childhood actor to, like, A-lister. So few. So she's a rock star.
You know what's really funny? I kind of, not to compare her to another white woman, Emma Stone kind of has made that transition, right? Because there was a while where she was still like looking a little young, feeling a little young, but whoever her agent is, her team, her manager, they've really pushed her to be in more like serious roles, kind of groundbreaking Oscar-winning roles. And I feel like Zendaya is coming up for that ass.
She really is. Delon, what about you? Did you know anything about the movie before I roped you into watching it?
The first thing I knew about it was just Zendaya on social on the red carpet, and I was like, "Why is this girl in these tennis rackets? Why is she in these tennis balls?
What is tennis outfits?
Girl,
the tennis outfits were so cute.
Her stylist, and some of them were banging. There was one I was like, meh.
Yeah, there was one where there was like the silhouette of a tennis player on the front. It was very weird.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
strange.
But,
yes, but we were talking about it.
Throw spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks, because y'all are out here doing a lot. But that was the first time I saw it, and then I like did a little Googling, and I was like, oh, it's going to be like King Richard, starring about the Venus and Serena.
Right.
But when I going to see it, I was like, oh, it's a completely fictionalized story, and I'm singing. Yeah. I'm singing the praises because, like, I said to Fran via text, yo, this movie was better than it deserved to be. Because I was like, okay, I'm going to watch it. But I was riveted.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That's so funny. I like you, I was watching all of the tennis looks, but I also have been playing tennis for about 3 years now, and I'm in a tennis clinic, and the group that I play tennis with went to see the movie as a group. And I couldn't go. I had plans that night, and I was so mad because we were at tennis the next day or the next weekend, and everyone was talking about it. And I was like plugging my ears because I was like, I don't want to be spoiled. So I think it's funny that I was like the pusher in this group. So we should just jump right in.
Let's do it.
let's talk about the film's directing. It was directed by Luca Guadagnino, who directed 2017's Call Me By Your Name. So I thought that was kind of interesting. What did you guys think of the direction of the film?
Well, I loved Call Me By Your Name, and I am a huge fan of Luca's work. He also did a movie. He works with Tilda Swinton a lot. There's a movie he did in 2009 called I Am Love. Yo, worth your time. And he has a knack for like taking typical relationships, typical sexual relationships, and really making them complicated and making us think about them. And this Challengers is doesn't fall short of that. Call Me By Your Name is the same thing. Like two people having like an inappropriate relationship, but we're also like invested for the relationship. Like it's really complicated. So I really dig his work, and this again like really sung for me. What about you, Amber?
I definitely think he does that perfect combination of like a foreign film energy, but that doesn't make you wait forever. Because I think, an American audience, we don't want to wait all day.
Yes.
So I remember him teasing it a little bit at the top, and then the final tennis match scene. I was like, oh, you're pushing us. You're pushing. Like you were like, there was this one scene, when he like touches the ball to the racket. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but like I was like, I think we've been staring at the screen about 10 to 15 minutes now, like with just this one game. And then he's like, because I made you wait, what I'm going to do is give you 20 different angles of this game. Like I remember, I was like, oh my God, a camera is now on the ball. It's now on the right side. It's now on the left side. Now the camera underneath and there's a camera overhead. And now I'm looking in Zendaya's glasses and seeing that angle too. And I'm seeing just the audience's heads. And he was like, I'm going to make... Because for me, I don't understand tennis. I've never played tennis. I don't know how the scoring works. I would imagine it's just like, a more active golf for me. To us normies, Venus and Serena made it interesting because they're black girls. But if there were no black tennis moguls, I probably would never watch a tennis game in my life. And he made it interesting because he gave us every perspective of it. So he's a phenomenal director.
He killed that part of it because I thought that was really interesting, that as someone that plays tennis and I gotta be honest with you.
She's about to tell us she plays tennis 17 times during this episode.
As the tennis expert on the call.
Now y'all, okay, see, now I hate that I introduced y'all. This was a bad, this was, okay, we're gonna exit Amber from the Riverside. No. What I was gonna say is I'm a decent tennis player, but I'm playing like rudimentary tennis. I'm playing with like, a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds who live in LA and like work in Hollywood. Like I'm not playing with real tennis players. But when I watch real tennis, I'm like, oh, I am terrible. When I watched this movie, I was like, holy shit, I know these are actors playing tennis, but this fucking feels like tennis.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, they're whacking that damn ball.
It was so intense, and I would love to see how they did. There were all these shots where it's like the ball, you are in, like it's like you're inside the ball, and you're seeing like hitting the actual racket. You're seeing the crowds on the side. I don't know how they did that, but it was incredible. And even just seeing underneath the court and like the sweat dripping off.
Yeah. Class, what we're talking about is at one point during the film, there's like they're playing on glass and they're being shot from underneath. So it was like stunning. To your point, Amber, sorry to interrupt you, Fran, but to your point, Amber, there was like this tension building around that. And I was like, oh, yo, you're just going to play with it, aren't you? It was so sexual.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very sexual.
The entire film for me was very erotic, and I just want to give it up to Marco Costa, who is the editor, because there were some shots.
Not you doing research on who did the edit.
I have a podcast. I have a podcast where we do research. Welcome to Let Me Fix It.
I wish more people would take notes as well. Delon, this is how you do it. You look it up.
Thank you, Amber. Yeah. But also, like this is our industry. Like and I love film, right? So the editing was so fucking good because. I don't sport like that. I don't athlete like that. I don't get obsessed. But like the slow motion that he used and the dripping of the sweat, and when you see them slow motion hitting the ball, I was like, this is so fucking sensual. And I know we're going to talk about the flashbacks too, but just to give it up to him, there were times where like he had them hit the ball and then the ball would go across the court and we would be in a flashback. And I was like, that is banging, and he used it over and over and over again. It was beautiful.
And I would be so curious to know if that was written into the script versus that was an editing choice, because those things are so cool where, you know, to your point about shouting out the editor, they really don't get enough credit in our industry for making or breaking a film, because some of those choices are not written into the script, or you have a bad take and the editor saves your ass and they're like, you know what, we're going to just do this over the shoulder because your face was looking fucking weird.
Right.
The editing was so the film ran a little long, and I'm sure we'll get there, but it compelled you to look at it because it was so non-linear. So you were like, I can't look away because I'm going to miss 3 years in the past or 10 years or like you're not going to get any scenes from like childhood, but you are going to get like you're going to get just what you need. Like every time jump was exactly what you needed. And then you're brought back to present day. You're like, oh, that's why this matters more and more. And he just kept upping the ante with that. Like there were actual stakes as the movie went on, which I love stakes. I hate things that don't have stakes.
And I love that you mentioned the flashbacks, because sometimes that can feel a little hacky in a movie, right? Where you do the flashback and you're like, oh, that's why she hates her mom, because her mom yelled at her one time. Like, and it feels overwritten, but it really worked in this instance because not only were the flashbacks unexpected, because sometimes they didn't tell, like they told you at sometimes, and then after a while they stopped telling you, and you had to go, oh wait,
you can fill in the blank, right?
Where are we? And then you had to your point, fill in the blank. You start realizing, oh, this is why this is significant. You're kind of figuring it out. It's like a puzzle.
And I'm going to trust that my audience is now smart enough to fill in those blanks, because I hate when movies are too complicated and it's like you didn't give us enough to fill this in here. And then I hate when they lob everything in. I hate when they're like, well, she hit her first tennis ball because she was being bullied. See? And I'm like, we don't need all that. Just, you know, there's always some like, I was bullied and tennis is what saved my life. And that's why it matters to me. It's like, no, like.
And to your point, Amber, the audience wants a nugget. I want to be able to fill in the gap and be like, oh, that's because you want to tell the story. Like,
I want to go smart.
I want to go on the treasure hunt myself. Yes.
Well
so you got to give a couple of clues here and there, but you can't be like, here's the map, good luck. You're like, I don't know what to do with this information.
Right.
This is a good segue to, you know, the sports movie of it all. Do you guys like sports movies? It's a whole genre. And, you know, I was like racking my brain and realizing I do like some sports movies, but I'm curious if that's really your thing, or if you have any sports movies that you've really enjoyed in the past.
I remember Mighty Ducks.
Every time. Gordon Bombay, every time. I love D1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. One that I pulled out of the recesses of my brain is The Sandlot. Oh yeah. Now, that was
The Sandlot. That was a good one.
Okay. I mean, I was a big Remember the Titans girl.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I love Remember the Titans.
Yeah, in our house that was a big one too. My sister
isn't that Denzel?
That movie. Yeah.
Denzel.
Yeah, I don't know that movie.
And like a young Ryan Gosling. I know.
Yo, did we want him though? We wanted to
of course.
him up in that movie.
Of course, they knew what they were doing. I was like, no, he's kind of not on the great, but he came around, you know. But
he did.
I'm like, that is a fine racist white boy right there. Like, okay, get back to the game. Back to the game. I think this is the first sports movie that I've seen, and please, like, pick this apart if this is untrue. This is the first sports movie I've seen where a woman was centered in a male sport. Because what you have seen, if you've seen like I don't know if you've seen like The Legend of Bagger Vance, right? Where it's like it's a golf movie and they've got like, you know, Will Smith is kind of like the magical figure and everything, and like, and there's a love story there,
but she's not the focus of the sport.
She's not the focus. Yeah. Whereas this is a movie about men's tennis with a woman moving the chess pieces.
Yeah.
Like that's what, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen that. Like you either get a women's sport or a men's sport.
Yeah, you know? That's really interesting.
It's like King Richard, but in reverse a little bit.
I would say maybe the only comparable one I can think of is like The Blind Side. Because isn't Sandra Bullock like the white savior movie? Yes. She's kind of like the white savior in the sports thing.
Right.
Yeah. That's a whole thing. Well, you know, that is actually really smart. And I hadn't thought about that. That definitely gives me a different perspective. I will say, factoid, that in order to prepare for this role, Zendaya spent 3 months with a pro tennis player turned coach, Brad Gilbert. And I really did feel like that's a risk, right? Unless you're going to, do like an I, Tonya or a Black Swan, and you're going to have a body double come in. But she's really playing tennis, and the guys are too. And I think that they did a really good job in that respect. I will say, I don't feel like Zendaya looks like a tennis player. Like the guys obviously put on muscle. You have to have some size to like lob that ball.
That. I would push back on that. She doesn't look like a Serena or Venus or a Coco Gauff, right? But she looks like them white. She looks like them white female tennis players that are really thin.
The white girls have a little bit more muscle.
I disagree.
Not a ton.
I disagree.
Okay.
They're looking way just like. I mean, sure, Zendaya is thin, but I think she looks like a tennis player. She's whopping that ball.
She looked like a tennis player in form, but to me, there were times where I felt like. And again, this is us jumping ahead, but when she hurt that knee, I was bracing for it the whole time because she looks like she's fragile to me. She looks like she's fragile to me. Like she doesn't look strong. And I think, again, not to say that she has to put on 10 or 15 pounds of muscle, but even just a little bit more definition in her arms would have made me feel like she was really a tennis player.
I wonder what that would have done to the storyline too. Like if they would have cast like a Cynthia Erivo as the lead. Like I'm trying to think about like a super muscular woman who, I mean, I don't know. Like you raise a good point.
To that point, Amber, though, I think if they had, this is me just being Black in America, I think if they had cast somebody that was super muscular, they'd be talking about her being muscular. They'd be like, oh, she was a little too muscular for this thing, and la 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 la.
And I think that actually brings up a good point, is that one thing I felt was missing, I mean, we're jumping ahead here, is that like, you're right, that if she was muscular, she would have gotten critique, but also as a Black person in a white sport, she would be getting critique. Right, and that was kind of left out of the movie. Like she mentions race very briefly. She says someone's racist, but like.
And she talks about them being white boys at some point too, the two guys.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think the movie, I mean, and this is, like you said, this is just racism in America. I don't think the movie would have done as well if she was the shape of a actual tennis player. Like it wouldn't, like they wouldn't have received that well. Like, I mean, Zendaya is kind of like of course she's her own person and she's a phenomenal actress too, but she is like made for the male gaze in like a movie. Like she is like, she is like paper thin. She's like the perfect skin tone that they want you to be. She's got the perfect hair that they want. And that doesn't take away from her credit. Yes. Yeah. Which is why, I mean, she can literally play like anybody she wants to play. And she's so tiny, and she can look like 16, but then also those were the scenes that didn't really read for me. I was like, she doesn't look older. She got a haircut, sure, but she doesn't look like a 30 plus postpartum woman. You know, that's always the hill I'm gonna die on. I was like, that is not how you look after a baby. Is anybody gonna put one stretch mark on her body? Like that is not what you look like. So
Amber, you're so right, because one of the first shots is of her in her underwear, and I'm like, there's not a stretch mark,
Sleek.
not a hip spread.
Oh my God!
Also,
nothing.
I think that's a good transition to talk about some of the things that we liked in the film, because one of the things I really thought worked, to your point, Amber, I didn't think she was old enough. Any of them were old enough when that movie started. But the hairstylist, I want to give it up to Kim Kimball. You know, I'm still doing research. Kim Kimball Kim Kimball did the styling, and she really made Zendaya look younger, and Mike Feist looked really young with the styling of the hair. Because when it started, I was like, they're not old enough. But when they go back in time, I was like, okay, that makes sense. I'm believing it. Yeah. She did a really good job.
The young flashbacks were the most believable for me. I did not feel like Zendaya looked. I mean, I liked the hair changes to delineate time, but she did not give maternal for me. But on things that I did like, I loved the time jumps. I loved the foreshadowing. I loved the almost threesome, which we will talk about. I mean, I'm saying almost because
right. You know. Yeah, they teased us. I just don't think that someone who was at the height of their career in tennis and then had an injury would be the same size. Like, we all lived through a pandemic. And I mean, 1 month into the pandemic, when our patterns were disrupted, we all put on 20 pounds. So I was like, there is no way that someone who is nursing like a career-changing injury is going to be the same size. Like, you used to wake up every morning, get up every day, be on this very strict schedule. Like, it just could have been a little bit of a weight difference after so much time. But, they ain't going to do that.
Well,
they ain't gonna do that.
And that's not unreasonable in the realm of acting. Actors lose and gain weight all the time for films. All the time.
I feel very attacked.
John's like, what have I been in? I'm up here, all up and down.
Just yo-yoing, okay.
That's it, though.
Amber, what are some things that you really enjoyed about the film?
I enjoyed the sexual tension of the film because everything doesn't have to be like crazy sex scenes on the nose, whatever. I think what is true about sex is the tease, is the cat and mouse, is the game, is the foreplay. So the whole film sort of felt like foreplay in some scenes. Like there was this one scene where the camera I think he was on the bed sharing with her that he wanted to quit tennis. And even the camera was like right behind him going up. Like, we all love a nice back. Yeah. Like it was going up from like his butt to the back. And you're like, how are we turned on in this scene that could actually really go a little bit wrong? Or just the building, like even them in the sauna together talking.
And so
it's like this director is trying to gaslight us because we're all looking at this scene and like looking at each other like, this is sexy, right? Okay.
Oh, no, Amber and I were grabbing each other in the theater.
I was hot and bothered. I was immensely turned on.
Yeah,
I mean, can we talk about the scene where like they're watching Tashi play for the first time and they're both leaned back and they just have big hard-ons in it? Did you notice that?
Oh, I didn't notice the hard-ons, but
they both had huge erections in their pants.
And they're horny for her strength. I was like, when was the last time I've seen a man sit down, watch a woman play a sport where she's being fierce and powerful and strong, and that was a turn on. Like we didn't just get a scene of her. Like they could have done so many scenes of her just walking by in a tennis skirt and the breeze blew it up, or like Marilyn Monroe style. But they didn't do that.
Game.
They loved her like ferocity there, which was like, oh, that's refreshing. Like, in what world did a man direct men ogling a woman for her strength? Like, I don't think I've seen that.
That's such a good point, because there were a lot of young girls in the movie with me, and they were like, I mean, it's Zendaya and like these kids, Gen Z, it's her audience. But they were leaving the theater and they were like, God, it was so good. It was so good. Just to echo what you're saying, I love that young women were watching that and being like, yeah.
Like, I want to be strong. Like, somebody will desire me for my strength.
That's sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say on the topic of like the sexiness and the sexual tension, and I think that Delon's going to disagree here. I liked how like impliedly gay this movie was, because there's sexual tension between Art and Patrick throughout the film. There's a locker room scene where there's just dicks swinging all over the fucking place. There's the sauna confrontation where Patrick puts his leg up on the sauna and just has his dick like straight up looking at Art. I mean, they really they wanted to fuck. They wanted to fuck so bad. When there's the almost threesome, they're making out, and they're making out for a good minute. And I was thinking, I wonder how many straight men went into this movie thinking, okay, I'm going to watch Zendaya get banged, not knowing that there was going to be a lot of like stinky man loving moments.
Man meat.
Yeah.
Well, I pushed back on it being very gay, because I think it was just like, it was a little bit queer baiting, right?
Yes.
Class queer baiting, just for the just so we all know, we are all on the same page. The purpose of this is a method to attract or bait queer or straight ally audience with the suggestion or possibility of relationships or characters that appeal to them, while not alienating homophobic members of the audience or censors by actually portraying queer relationships. So yeah, I think I don't get me wrong, I fucking loved the gay tension. Like,
yes.
But it was like, it's never going to be realized, and so it's kind of like you're dangling the carrot in front of us, but she's still the point, which I guess is the point of the film. But like, we need a little something. There's some butt and some dick in the locker room, great, but like, if they want to make out, like, have them make out. Like, have them. Wouldn't it be interesting if the three of them actually had a triangle and he was in love with him and we saw it realized? But that's my gay ass. So
I mean, I think that's the subtext, but you're right. They're not going to spell it out for us, but it's like the underlying.
I think what the film was trying to do was tap on the homoerotic nature of sports a little bit, because there is a gayness to like men slapping each other's butts before they go bat, like, and everybody's naked in the locker room. And I think they were trying to be like, this is all just one hair away from an orgy. Yeah, like you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I feel like if in a person who was not American came and watched a male American locker room, they'd be like, y'all are like men.
Oh yeah.
I feel like there's something. This is just stop me because it's great. But there's something kind of homoerotic sometimes about like very close male friendships.
Oh yeah.
Like, of course y'all jerked off together as kids. Like, like I know so many men who said that they've done that. They probably wouldn't admit it, like, you know, on a microphone, but like almost every male that I've talked to that's like, well, yeah, the first guy I jerked off with, that was my buddy. And so in a way that women don't have those stories, or we'll have
women like not have those stories.
We might have like my friend showed me how to put a tampon in.
Yeah,
like
we sometimes have those stories.
I mean, I would say, like, I think there's so much shame in masturbating for the first time as a woman, whereas men are like, how far can you let yours go? You know, like, it's just different.
And teaching each other how to do it, and like having competitions, and how many times can you jerk off in a day?
They literally have pissing contests. There's something kind of intimate about that at the very least. So I think he was tapping on like the intimacy of growing up with someone who played this sport with you every day, because it's like we're past friendship at this point. This is like my brother, my lover in this game that we love a little bit. I feel like Zendaya,
and there's a one moment that I really appreciate from Zendaya's character when she's talking about tennis. She says it's a relationship,
right?
And that when you're on the court, like, you are having this relationship. And I think you're right that like they are best friends, but they are in love with each other in a way that is sexual, but it's also competitive. But I think they're also like turned on by seeing each other with Tashi, and like that's part of like their eroticism, and it's
like the same high that you would get sexually in a way. Like in a way, Shaq and Kobe were in a relationship. Like, you know, Michael Jordan and, you know, Scottie Pippen. That's a relationship.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like, I don't exist without you in this moment in time. So let's make something like that gives us the same high that an orgasm would. Like, in a way.
What I appreciate about this conversation is that, like, I think it's culture and society that's in the way of like the human interaction, right? So like, if like, yes, the sport probably got these two young men to love each other in that way, and there has to be, to kind of conflate things, there has to be a way for us to talk about platonic male love, because I think that's one of the problems with masculinity.
That's why they
and
act
patriarchy
like
in our society is that there's no room for that, and so we see these two men and we automatically go, "Oh, they're gay."
They're gay, and right? Which they're not. They love each other.
They might be. What if they did fuck? And then they're
or
so
they might
straight.
be bisexual.
That part. Or why do we even have to define it? Why can they just say? They can just be who they want to be and be like, no, I dipped in his ass one time, but, you know, I'm married with kids. Like, you know what I mean?
But I feel like when you go to other countries, men do that. They're like, of course I fucked my friend as a child, but like, I'm not gay.
Right.
Like, and whereas in America, it's like, if you admitted that you had sex with your friend, you're like, no, you've done it once. That is who you are now. But there's something about the male friendship in this movie that's like, I didn't really read them as being gay. Of course they were like making out in that one scene. I read them as like, we are in a complicated relationship. Like, we've known each other since we were kids. Like,
Okay,
I love this man.
What about that churro scene? Because there's a scene where they're on Tashi's campus. Art is going to school, the same college as Tashi. Patrick comes to visit. He is playing tennis professionally, and there's this tension where Art is realizing, oh shit, they're actually really serious, and I want them to break up. And so they're talking about the dynamics of the relationship, and it is very tense because they're clearly fighting over this woman. But there's also sexual tension. He's eating the churro, and then Patrick takes a bite of the churro in the middle. He pulls his chair over to him with his foot very deliberately and gets in real close to his face. And again, they're talking about Tashi, but they're also talking about like the dynamics of them, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's the gamification of it all, because like Art is being so manipulative in that scene. Like, he's really trying to play them. And I think that's just good film. Luca, go ahead. It's like good filmmaking. And
great filmmaking.
He's creating a tension around it, and it becomes sexual, it becomes erotic like the whole film is. But what are they actually talking about? Yeah. And they're sharing a churro, which looks phallic. Not a looks, it's fucking phallic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're sitting there being like, what is going on? And causing something in us as an audience.
He wipes away the sugar off of his cheek.
I think that's Luca is playing with us there. He's like, I know nothing's gonna happen between these two men, but I want y'all to think something might and something could. So let me just like
kiss, and we were like,
y'all. Edge y'all.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna edge y'all until the end, because when you zoom out, all they did was kiss in the film that one night, because they were like, we'll do whatever she wants us to do. Whatever she wants. She calls the shots tonight. But that was really it. I think it was more of like I mean, you shouldn't like be kissing on your brother, but I do think it was more of like a playful, boyish, competitive thing. Like, and I think Luca was teasing us with the churro scene, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Tease me again. Tease me anytime. Tease me anytime, Luca.
Especially with that Josh O'Connor. Let's talk about Josh O'Connor for a second, because I first met Josh O'Connor, who plays Patrick Schweig, Tashi's ex-boyfriend in the film class. I first met him in this indie gay film called God's Own Country, which is so fucking good. Oh. And then it was announced that he was going to play the young Prince Charles in The Crown, and
which he's too hot to play Prince Charles. You know what? I'm sorry.
You're so wrong, Fran. You're so wrong. I'll tell you why. Because when it was announced that he was going to play Prince Charles, I was like, that's brilliant casting. If you look at a young Prince Charles, the big old elephant ears, the nose, I wouldn't say a young Prince Charles is sexy, but like the casting of it all, kudos to the casting person. I put the picture side by side.
Maybe I would need to see him in the role. I will say, after looking at his IMDb, he has one of those faces that's very transformative. Because I would look at some of the pictures, I'm like, how is that the same guy? But like,
he's a blank slate.
Yeah, he really is.
Fran, you don't think he would? I was saying this to Fran in the movie, but she's like, no, you don't think he gives like James Franco energy? There's like that smug.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. He does. He doesn't look like it, but he does give fuckboy energy. And I would say,
fuckboy.
You know,
Lord. I just had a minute.
Delana, you want to turn your camera off? You okay?
I'll be right back.
Okay, so this brings me to a good question. If you were in a love triangle between Art and Patrick, Art being the redheaded hubby that Tashi ends up with. Played by Mike Feist, and then Patrick Zweig. Is that how I say it?
Zweig or something. Zweig. It's like German or maybe.
He's played by Josh O'Connor, as Delon has said. He's the bad boy ex-boyfriend. Which one are you choosing if you're caught between the two of them?
Oh, fuck, marry, kill. Ready? Go ahead, Amber.
I'm toxic, so I would have went with James. I would have went with James O'Connor without question. I would rather be sleeping next to him in that car than it's that bad. It's that bad. Art. The minute a man just like listens to everything I say, and I want to smell it too. I love For those of you who don't know my husband, see, I'm doing the influencer again. Like all of y'all have obviously spent time with my husband. I want the person that says the unhinged thing. Like maybe we'll argue about it later, but it's like I want the person that says the most memorable things. I don't want a lap dog that's just gonna like do everything that I say. And I prefer the more chaotic personality myself. Yeah. Even though we might end up sleeping in your car.
We might be poor and broke, but the dick will be good.
Right.
What about you, Fran? All right, go ahead, Fran.
Well, and I'm going to be honest with you. It pains me to say it because he shares the name as my ex-husband, Patrick. But that's who I'm choosing. Like he is hot, and you're right. Like
flawless.
And his energy got his confidence. Like even when he is sleeping in his car, he knows he can win. He's like, you just got to give me a shot, and I'm gonna bounce back. And like the fire in his eyes throughout the film, when he confronts Tashi and he's like, "Hey, you should coach me," and the confidence he has is just
fearless.
Big dick energy is the thing that people say. He actually really, really has it. And even when him and Tashi get in a fight, she says to him, she's like, "And you got a big dick, whatever." And he's like, "Hell yeah, I do."
He's like, "All right, I'll take that point."
Not you mentioning my big dick as we're breaking up. I got it, girl.
I loved her for that. So she's like, "I'll find another one. I don't even care." But she was like, "But I wish I could keep it though."
Right, but she can't have both. It's like he's not going to be in your fan club. Like
I wish there were a world where she could. I wish there were a world where she could have both them motherfuckers.
Yeah, that would be the ultimate. I mean, that would have been a twist that I could have really gotten behind, because there is a world in which, and this is very much like decolonizing your idea of like what monogamy and partnership looks like. Of course. But like Art gave her security and love, and it was a great father and stability. But then like Patrick is giving her the sexiness and the fire and the tennis and the passion. And to your point, Delon, it's like, if y'all could be okay with it, you could have both. And it's not a competition. You're not in competition with each other, because you give her different things, and she should be allowed to enjoy both of those things. And both of y'all seem to get off on both fucking her. So like, let's all just agree to agree and get it where we can.
If I have to choose, I mean, if I'm in my like fuckboy era, I'm definitely choosing Patrick Schwab, because you know what it was for me? Yeah, big dick is great, sure, but I'm turning you over anyway. It's that. It's that little.
And I said it just like that.
Not a beat
miss. Love that for you. I will not be experiencing it. But
then for Patrick, it was that like little smirk he would give, and I was like, "Yo, it's something." You said fire behind the eyes. I was like, "There's something behind that," and I'm like, "Oh, I want to find out what it is." But I'm in my rich stability era, so I'm picking Art. I'm picking Art because he's gonna love me. He's gonna be intimate.
Yeah, I'll take the penthouse for $5,000.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, very much. I don't think their threesome would have worked. Like, I feel like maybe Zendaya would have done it, but like, Art likes to win and Patrick likes to cause chaos. So I just don't think, like, Patrick was like, I'm never gonna be a kept man. Like that's just not even my vibe at all. Like, like he wouldn't even, it wouldn't even be fun to him to be like, oh, well, both of you now accept me. He's like, no, I want to go like tear some shit up over here.
Right? Because
he's chaotic.
He was fucking around when he was on the tour or whatever. Anyway, so he would just be like, I'm a free spirit. He lived out of his car, right? He didn't have to, but he chose that.
Which is why Art was like, you're not gonna like commit to this. Like enough of the games. Like eventually you're gonna, because honestly, eventually Patrick would have definitely cheated on her. Like he's
Oh yeah. And I mean, and that was Art was implying that. He was like, "Oh yeah, you've been faithful." And Patrick was like, "Yeah, sure." And I did not believe him then. Right. And I think you're right. He absolutely would have cheated on her. But I also feel like they would have had some sort of understanding. Like, you gonna sleep with people, we're not gonna talk. Right. Exactly. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to say we're open. We're not going to have rules. We're just going to look the other way because that's like part of the game.
We'll have an entanglement.
We got to bring back entanglements. Yes.
We do. We have to reappropriate it. One of the things I thought, which is like, this is going to, y'all going to judge me so hard. I was like, who is this queen up here playing this
the umpire.
Umpire. I was like, who is this lady? And who are you friends with? Fran, you put it in here that it's Zendaya's longtime assistant.
Amber is the one that keyed me into this. She knew it before I did. I guess she saw it on social media that the umpire actually is Zendaya's longtime assistant. And he also served as her stand-in on a few projects. Apparently they didn't. Now, this was what was wild to me. They just didn't have somebody playing the umpire. And like on set, they were like, oh, hey, do you want to do it? And he's like, really? Is it okay?
Serious?
And he went to Zendaya and asked her, are you okay with me doing this? And she said, yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Wow.
Yes. I mean, I think you did a great job, but there is something very like...
He does feel out of place.
Which I hate. I hate that I feel that way because it's like, why wouldn't your place be on the tennis court? But
you know what it is? And here's the thing. It's not that he is a gay black man. That for me is not why he felt out of place. His delivery felt very stilted at times.
It's like nuanced acting. It's like he's like there saying the lines.
He's just saying the words.
Yeah, there's no like, he doesn't, in the shot, he's not looking at the atmosphere. He's not like taking in what's happening that feels believable to me.
Yeah. I took an acting class recently where the teacher was saying this thing that really stuck with me is like thinking the thought before you say the line. Like what is going through your head that inspires you to say the line? And I don't feel like that was happening for him. He was just saying the score, or he was just saying, you were cursing or whatever. It just didn't feel motivated.
Yeah. Like when you're passing out those violations, again, I don't watch a lot of tennis, but I'm like, surely there's a different tone in a violation versus giving a point. Or is the point to just keep the same even tone the entire time? And it was like, warning, Zlag. I was like... In a way that I was like, that wasn't supposed to be funny, and it was like a little bit.
It took me out. It definitely took me out. Well, I think that's a good segue to talk about the ending of this film. It is a little ambiguous. Like I feel like I think I know how it ended, but I'm curious. Do y'all have a feeling about it? Because it's the final match. It's very heated between Art and Patrick, and Art needs to win this game in order to kind of end his losing streak. And there's this moment that implies where Patrick kind of signals like, yo, I fucked your girl. And that helps him. Well, first he's really mad about it, but then it starts helping him kind of get his mojo back. And then the last scene, they're jumping up for that last ball and you don't see what happens. So what do you two think happened?
I think I was a little frustrated by the ending initially. To Amber's point, I was like, you would edge me and edge me and edge me and not have a climax?
Yeah. Right. Just one scene. But one more.
I will say, like, to Tashi's response to it, which she was like, she got so mad that they didn't finish it. And then the recovery that Zendaya does, where she's like, she like laughs through it. That is like, I hope they take that clip and just give it as an example in an acting class, because it's so fucking great and well done. Because that made me go, oh, now I love it. Now I love it.
Yeah. I thought that was brilliant.
Wait. Okay, see, I didn't interpret it that way. So you saw it as she was trying to save face in that moment?
Well, it was like she had a genuine reaction of like, they hug it out and don't finish the game. And she's like, come on! And then she goes, she laughs it off like, oh yay, they're friends, but we know that that's not what her genuine reaction was, and I thought it was just brilliant.
Wait, I thought Art won. He hit the winning point though, right? You remember he like went up to slam dunk and he hit it down. Like I thought it was implied that
I did not see him make connection with the ball, but it feels like he did, and then the two of them hug.
Yeah, and then everybody's cheering. I think he made the game point.
I don't remember. I thought that he just gave up and they hugged it out. I don't even think that he hit it, because he was like over the net. But
I think he hit it. Okay. I think he hit it and he won. And I interpret it as she let out that just like primal guttural scream of joy of like, this is what it's like to watch tennis finally. Like I interpreted it as that. She was like, because you hadn't heard her grunt like that since her tennis glory days. Because the entire movie she's been like
on the sidelines.
For the listeners, just leaning back, being silent.
See, this is good art. That we're all talking like this and trying how I interpret it versus what y'all saw. This is really fucking good art. Good job, Luca.
Yeah, no, and so it's funny because I was having this conversation with another friend, and he was like, "I hated the ending. I really didn't like it."
Really?
And I was like, wow. Okay, so that's why I thought it was definitely interesting to hear everyone's different interpretations. What grade would you give Challengers? You can do 4 star, like out of stars. You can give a letter grade, whatever you feel is appropriate. Amber, as our guest,
because it exceeded.
No, let Amber go first because she's the guest.
No. All right, I have too much to say. Go ahead, Amber. Let me shut up.
Okay, well, a couple things. Going back to the ending really quickly. I also think Zendaya goes on to coach Patrick. I think I really think she's like this. Like, if Art's gonna retire at the end of the year, like. And tennis is the thing that wakes me up and puts me to sleep at night. Like, I need someone else to coach. And maybe she tries to coach him and he don't show up day one, like maybe. But I definitely think she at least considers doing some practice rounds with him after.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's going to be doing a few rounds.
Right, a couple of rounds.
Yeah.
Well, what happens to her and Art?
He's like, can I pay you in dick?
I think
Art is like,
I think they're gonna get a divorce.
Because Art is tired. He's tired of fighting for his marriage. Yeah. He's like, just take her.
Yeah. And that scene where he tells her that he is thinking about retire, or he wants to retire, and he's like, "Will you still love me?" Basically, like, on the bed pleading with her, like, still see me as, desirable and your husband and whatever. And she's kind of holding his face and she's like, yeah, sure. And she's like telling him what he wants to hear. But to me, that felt like this is the end of our marriage.
Yeah, this is the fire that was holding it all together. Yeah.
This is the end. If you're not able to coach me, if we're not able to, and look, they're very wealthy. They have a fantastic life. But if you are not able to feel this proximity to the game because you can't physically play, then I'm useless for you. And you want somebody you can control. And she couldn't control Patrick. She was telling him what to do, and he didn't want to listen to it. Now she got someone she could control. But now that he doesn't want to play anymore, it's like you're useless to me.
Yeah. And I would probably give the film, I'm going to give it an A. Like, it was really good for me. I know a lot of people talked about how it could have went deeper into like the racial politics of tennis. And I was like, but we've already seen that movie. Like, we kind of like, we were given just enough scenes of that. Like, I don't know, maybe I just didn't want this film to address things that they potentially didn't have the range to address. Fair. So I was like, you stayed in your lane, and I'm perfectly happy with that. Like, I didn't see it as like, they could have showed one scene where the other white girls at tennis didn't sit with her. I was like, I think it's implied. She's a mixed race girl who went to white schools her entire life, and she, like, beating these white girls is more than the game. So for me, all of that was like, I was able to fill in the blanks with that, because I had another friend that was like, there could have been more scenes about like her hardships as a black girl in tennis. I was like, but we know it's hard. Like, I don't. It's implied. I don't need any of those scenes. So I would give, it's like a perfect film to me.
I say this all the time, Amber. Like, say something different about it. Like, if you're gonna use that like story trope of like race and like overcoming, I need you to say something different. So to your point, like, we've seen it
to the conversation. Yes. And then don't just drive by and do it, because
thank you. Like,
they're like, well, we'll throw y'all a scene. Don't even do that. Just don't even talk about it. Just keep going.
I mean, so I agree with you and I disagree, because I think you're right. Like, we don't need to see the same thing we've always seen, but I think there was an opportunity for us to learn something about her inner mind and her inner experience as a mixed race person. And I will say, I really appreciate that in Zendaya's films, she is represented as a mixed race person. She had a black dad and a white mom, and that is rare when we have mixed race actors.
It's said that's revolutionary, but
it shouldn't be revolutionary, but it really was. And to your point, I don't think we needed, I wasn't white enough for the white kids, I wasn't black enough. Right. We don't need that storyline, but I was missing. So for me, I'm going to say like a B- for the movie. What I was missing was really getting to know who Tashi was. She was very one-dimensional to me. She loved tennis. She was very competitive. That's really all we know about her. And I don't know, again, like it doesn't need to be as tropey as, you know, my dad walked out on me on a tennis game and now that's why I play tennis.
Right.
But if there was something that gave us insight into why she wants to win so badly, you know, her parents got divorced and the only time they saw each other was when they came to her matches. And the only time they felt like they were actually a family again was when she won and they got to go to, you know, Ruby Tuesdays after. I'm pulling this out of my ass, but like, if she had something,
you said something earlier that like the flashback of it all would have been a little tropey, right? So like how
it would have,
like, they would have to weave that in.
It's a delicate balance. I don't listen. I say this as a fucking middling TV writer that doesn't. I don't have no Emmys. No. You know what I mean? Like,
don't downplay.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just saying I don't have the answer. Like, I don't know how to do it, but I'm saying I would have liked that. And I even if it's not that, but like, you know, Patrick and Art, we learn a lot about them through their friendship. Tashi ain't got no friends. Who are her girls?
Right.
Like, who does she call when she's like, I'm thinking about cheating on my man. You know what I mean? Like,
but I think that contributed to it. I would like, she's kind of hardened because she is a minority in this sport. And she probably thinks like, they're not going to take me seriously unless I take it to the moon and take it like super seriously. And I, for that point that you're making, I just go back to like, all of the male sport movies that I've watched and how we didn't need a reason why they loved the game so much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that for me is what was like nuanced about it, because we didn't need some super emotional reason about like, some people just love the sport. Like, it's like,
that's fair. I mean, I think beyond that, I just wish I knew more about her, because one of my biggest pet peeves when I see romance portrayed in films is people are like, I'm in love with this girl, but like, I don't really know anything about her personality. So I'm not really sure. Like, I know they love her because she's good at tennis and because she's strong, but like, what do y'all talk about outside of tennis? Like, what is it about her mind that makes you intrigued? And I just wasn't really sure beyond like, she's hot and sexy and mysterious and she's really good at tennis. But to me, I can't really tell you much about her personality. And I
take back into what Amber said at the beginning about like feeling like there's a girl who is passionate about something and boys, like, because it's kind of told through her, but like it's
through their lens.
It's through their lens of like, they're sexualizing her not because she's hot, she's sexy, but it's also about her sport and being good at something, which I think is different. For me, it's a B because I wouldn't have seen this movie if y'all had told me it was a serious movie. honestly. And again, that's why I'm like, it's better than I thought it was. It's way I was better than surprised. I thought it was. Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, class, we would love to hear from you. Have you seen Challengers? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did it make you want to have a threesome or an almost threesome, or just be present while two dudes make out? We will not judge you, because listen, you heard us being thirsty about this film. Please hit us up on Instagram at FixItPod or email us lemmefixitpod@gmail.com. Amber, you were just a delightful, insightful, I want to have another rhyme, but I don't. But you were
Miteful
and biteful.
Oh, wait a minute.
And I was going to say spiteful, but that doesn't work.
No, she ain't been that.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us on the pod.
Thank you for having me. I hope half of what I said makes sense.
That's
always my hope. Okay.
It did. And honestly, like, you brought me around. Like, I came into this being like, I'm going to have all these notes. And then, like, you kept saying things where I was like, oh, damn, that's actually a really good point. Like, you really gave a lot of insightful and thoughtful commentary to this film, which I really appreciated.
Thank you. I hope any straight men that watch this movie, too, also will be pushed to think about, like, let me think about all the times I have done things that maybe could have been perceived one way, but it's like, I just have deep companionship and camaraderie with my teammate. Like I really hope people did not walk out of this thing. I mean, people are gonna do what they want, but I just hope people didn't walk out of this film, especially straight men, and were like, ew, look at their kissing. I was like, I want you to watch this film and say, like, what are all of the ways that I've shown my friend that I love them? So that was what it did for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking about, like, if my brother saw this film, would he think like, man, I got a writer, like friend like that who I deeply love. Not romantically, but I have a deep love for my friend. And that's why I love the film. Yeah.
That's such a great way to part the pod, because I mean, I'm all about platonic male love, and I think we need more of it in our society, because, you know, being adjacent to us men, y'all are struggling.
Struggling. Yeah. I told my husband, I was like, go watch Challengers and go get you a friend. Go find some more friends that don't know me and go make out with those friends. And watch me. I want to watch you make out with those friends.
Yes. She said, I'm Zendaya. Okay.
Right.
It was awesome meeting you, Amber. So truly, I've heard so much about you. You're a gem.
Thank you so much, Delon.
Amber, before you go, please let our listeners know where they can find you on the interwebs.
Hey, listeners, you can find me at BurrIam, BURR_IAM. It was supposed to be like Will.I.am, but I'm the only one that got the joke. So it is BurrIam. People are like, Burriam, right? I'm like, I messed
Listen,
up.
As somebody that is Jessica Lee, that's how people pronounce Jessica Lee. I feel your pain, and that's now what people think my name is, and it's just a username that became a handle.
I'm just like, hey, Jessica, and you're like, no, we lost the plot.
Yeah.
But yeah, BurrIam on all socials. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Amber Wallin. So, and I ain't doing nothing. Just come have fun with me. It's just a hodgepodge of whatever I'm thinking about that day.
Oh my God. Well, thanks again. And I'll see you in real life pretty soon, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. And Delon, when you come in town, I want to hang out with you.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Oh my God.
Yay.
Fran, way to go with having Amber on the pod. Like,
it was a last minute. It was so funny because she and I were on FaceTime, and it's so funny. Like, she and I just will hop on the phone, but we'll be on the phone while we're doing other things. So she was doing dishes, and I was editing some thumbnails, and we had been texting, and she was like, "Girl, I'm just gonna FaceTime you." And we started talking about Challengers and telling her husband about it, and I was like, we're going to do an episode. Let me just ask Delon if you can hop on the episode with us, because it would be so fun. And I knew she would kill it.
Yeah, she really did. I mean, again, like that thing about like the Zendaya's character being powerful, but also the discussion that you all brought up just about, like, I call it platonic male love, but like masculinity and like the gay of it all.
Yeah,
I really did enjoy it.
A little deep. We got a little thirsty. We got a little deep. Like,
that's what we do here on the pod. Okay?
I know, and you know what? And there were innuendos all along the way. So,
as always,
true. Let me fix the episode.
So, friends, now it's time for everyone's segment, The Glow Up, where we give props to those who have turned themselves around without our help, as you know. But first, let's take a quick break. And we are back. Fran, do you mind if I go first?
Sure, go for it.
So I'm giving this to rinse and repeat film franchises. Since we're talking about films, I want to bring this up because, you know, the summer movie blockbuster season is upon us. And as I went to see Challengers, there are all of these previews. And I was like, oh, Hollywood, I know you're recovering, but are we really doing it? We're really doing it. Okay.
We are.
So just class, here we go. Deadpool is coming back. Deadpool and Wolverine remake.
Oh, wait, they're in a movie together?
They're in a movie together.
I feel like they're in different universes.
I mean, it might be DC and Marvel. I don't even know. But they're going to be in a movie together.
Okay.
Yes. They're doing a Twister remake, which I was like, do we need it?
Listen, I don't understand disaster movie. Like, that's real life. Like, the shit is scary. I'm not having fun watching people's homes get ripped apart and people die.
It's like when people were making content about the pandemic on like Netflix and stuff, and I was like, "No, guys."
And I was on a pandemic ass show, and I was thinking the same thing. I was like,
"Don't wear masks."
So I have a mask on.
Why are we doing this?
Oh God!
Eddie Murphy's popping back on screen with Beverly Hills Cop. Another thing we didn't ask for, but it'll be nostalgic for, I think, you know, Gen Zers who grew up in the 80s and 90s. And he hasn't really been on screen a lot in the recent years. Inside Out 2's coming back. Speaking of relics, Bad Boys 17 with Will Smith and
it's Bad Boys
Lawrence.
3, and it is long overdue. I mean, it has been way too long since that movie was in theaters.
Way
but like,
too long.
That seemed to be like an easy, because Bad Boys 1 and 2 were good.
And now, I mean, I guess it's just like schedules and stuff, but I don't know why it took so long. And I grew up on Bad Boys 1 and 2. I'm obviously going to see it, but, you know, I'm just like looking for new stuff. This stuff is like low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Furiosa Mad Max they're having an installment of that.
I will be seated for that one. The
I know you
trailer
will. The bald
looked
head.
good.
She said, "I'm going." She said, "Bald head, see bald head." The Crow is being remade, which is
No, we don't.
We don't need that.
No.
Who was it? Who was it? Kid who died in that?
Yeah. I can't remember what his name is. I feel like for that reason alone, we shouldn't redo it.
Yeah, we should just let that rest.
Brandon, what's his name? And then they did CGI to fix him in the end of the movie because he died in the middle of it.
Yeah, no bueno.
No.
But some films I'm excited about. Max XXXine, which is like the trilogy of Mia Goth.
Yeah.
She has an XXX trilogy that you and I have talked about a lot, friend, and we enjoy.
X and Pearl are the other
X
two
and
films.
Pearl, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely going to go see that. Your friends Alana Glazer and Michelle Buteau are in Babes. And I'm definitely going to support them.
I saw it last night at a screening. It was fantastic. I know I'm biased. I can't wait for you to see this movie, Delon. I will not spoil. I will just say this is a friendship romance, which is very related to today's topic.
Absolutely.
And it's one that I haven't really gotten to see for millennial women, also moms. And it's just it's very funny, but it's also like heartwarming and gut wrenching. And it's just like the real friendship shit that I haven't seen in a comedy.
Yeah, you were saying
forever.
you got Misty. You were like,
I got
my
Misty
fifis
a few times. Yeah.
Yeah. And the last film that I kind of was like, I don't know if I want to see this. Blink twice. It's Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut. It's starring Channing Tatum, her boo-boo. But there's also, I forget the lead actress's name, but she's stunning. She's this black actress who I'm going to see for her.
I was into that trailer. I was genuinely surprised when Zoe Kravitz's name came up on the end.
Me too.
Because I did not know that she was dabbling in directing. Whatever, the nepo of it all. But I will say she's carved out a lane for herself. And not only did she direct it, but she co-wrote it. And for me...
Oh, that's right, she did.
For me, again, I always say, if a nepo baby actually shows up with some talent, we're all fine to look the other way. And I'm going to say that trailer intrigued me.
The trailer intrigued me. I'm biased because I'm supporting everybody black. Thank you for that phrase, Issa Rae. So I'm supporting it. Also, again, the lead looks like she's doing amazing work and she's stunning. So I'm here for it.
Yeah.
What about you, friend? What is your glow up this week?
Well, on theme for today's episode, my glow up goes to Olympian Gabby Douglas. After an 8-year hiatus, she has returned to gymnastics this past April to successfully qualify to compete at the U.S. Championships, putting her back on the path to go to the Olympic Games in Paris. 8 years. Did you know it had been that long?
Listen, you can't tell me nothing about black people. Simone Biles said, I'm retiring. She came back. And then Gabby was like, oh, girl, I see you and I raised you. I'm coming back too. That's everything.
And here's what I really love about this. So the last time that Gabby competed was in the 2016 Olympics in Rio, where she helped secure her team's gold medal. And then she didn't say, I'm retiring. She just said, I need a break. I need to take a step back and work on my mental state. And, of course, there was all that stuff happening with, the doctor who had abused girls and stuff. And Gabby and Simone Biles both testified in the case against Larry Nassar. So they both were going through a lot, and to be able to say, I'm going to take the step back, especially in a sport like gymnastics, where that's very rare. That doesn't happen very often.
Because your window is really short there, right? You've been doing it since you were a kid, and then you only have to your early 20s, right?
And it's really, really hard on your body.
Yeah.
It's really, even with those, springy floors, you are hitting that floor, and you're in the
my lumbar is aching right now, girl.
Listen, I'm trying to sell my back on Facebook Marketplace. This shit is hurting me. It's bad. And so you're right. Your body is taking a tremendous beating. You're in the gym morning, noon, and night. And Gabby has been really transparent about needing time off. She also took a break from Instagram in 2022. Oh. She said that she was taking a break for her mental health. And so shout out to her. I think especially as a Black woman, we are often not given the space to say, I need a fucking break. I need to rest. And especially for athletes, I think there's a tremendous pressure to stay in shape, to win all the medals, to, get all the trophies and all that stuff. And she said, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say.
Go ahead.
No, you go. No, jump in.
I was just going to say that's like just the Black excellence of it all, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's actually really toxic to the things you're listing. Like we feel like there's only so much time. We have to be perfect. We have to say the right thing. We have to show up and be jovial and be kind and be a team player. But like where's the mental health break? Where's the thing where like, I'm not okay. I need to take a break away from Instagram or from the sport or like I need to go, spend my money and drink and like have a friend,
Now, that is such a good point. It's like you've worked so hard for all this success and then you're so booked, you never really have a chance to enjoy the success. So shout out to her because she spent her downtime doing public speaking and just fucking chilling and being off the internet because, again, as a Black woman in the public eye, they were giving my good sis a hard time about every goddamn thing. The hair's not right and the da-da-da-da-da. And she said, I'm unplugging and enjoying my gold medals in peace. So she is back on the road to go back to the Olympics. And if she is named a member of the U.S. Olympic team, she will be the first American woman since Dominique Dawes to make 3 Olympic teams. Simone Biles is also eyeing her 3rd Olympic team membership as well. So congratulations in advance. However she performs, it's going to be incredible. Her talent is undeniable. Her work ethic is so admirable. And again, her prioritization of her own mental health is something that we should all take a page from and apply in our own lives.
So proud of you, Gabby. We're here cheering for you on Let Me Fix It, girl. So we want to hear from you. How do I end this?
I mean, if you don't have an episode specific question, you can just wrap us out.
Yeah. So, class, we always want to hear from you. So let us know if you have a suggestion for a TV show, celeb, or brand we should fix in the future. You know what to do. Hit us up on Instagram @FixItPod or email us at letmefixitpod@gmail.com.
Yes, and you can also email us asking for advice. That's a new thing that we're trying to fold into the show. We would love to do a Fix the Class episode. And if you do send us a message, let us know if you want to be anonymous. Give us a fake name. You can be as candid as you want in our inbox, and we will make sure that your identity is concealed if that is what you need to do in order to really spill your guts sufficiently. And again, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give us a rating on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast app. I'm Francesca.
I'm Delon, and this was
Let Me Fix It!
Oh, we did it!
It was delayed on my end. I'm sorry.
Oh, shit.
It was.
We did it on my end.
No, you'll fix it.
Because I always fix it, but for my end, it was like lined up. Anyway.
Oh, my God.
Bye.
Your eyes popped out of your head.
I was so excited.